This moment you are in right now is not accidental, and the fact that you are hearing these words is not by chance. Something has been quietly aligning behind the scenes, beyond your awareness, beyond logic, beyond coincidence. You may have felt it as a strange pause in your day, a sudden heaviness in your chest, or an unexplainable pull that made you stop scrolling and listen. That pause is sacred. It is the space where heaven interrupts the ordinary, and it is in this very space that Archangel Michael stands, closer than you realize, at the threshold of your life. You were not meant to hear this message later. You were meant to hear it now. Timing is everything in the spiritual realm, and when messages arrive early or late, they lose their power. But this one has arrived exactly on time. There is a reason your spirit feels alert even if your body feels tired. There is a reason your mind feels restless even when nothing seems wrong. You are standing at a crossroads and heaven is acknowledging it. Archangel Michael does not appear for comfort alone. He appears when something must be confronted, protected, or claimed. Right now, unseen battles are unfolding around you. Not the kind fought with noise and chaos, but the kind fought in silence, in decisions, in endurance, in moments when you chose to keep going even when no one noticed. You may have wondered why resistance followed you wherever you went, why misunderstandings surrounded you, why your growth felt delayed even though your intentions were pure. These were not signs of failure. They were signs of proximity. Light attracts opposition, and Archangel Michael is drawn to those whose light has become impossible to ignore. There is a reason your life has felt watched, tested, and refined. You have been under observation not by people but by the spiritual realm itself. Every time you chose integrity when it cost you comfort, every time you stayed silent instead of reacting, every time you trusted God while feeling alone, something was recorded. Heaven keeps count differently than the world does, and what you thought were small moments were actually proofs of readiness. Archangel Michael does not knock on doors at random. He stands only where permission is about to be granted. You may feel as though you are on the edge of something you cannot yet name. Old versions of you no longer fit, but the new version has not fully arrived. This in-between space can feel uncomfortable, even frightening, because it requires faith without clarity. That is why protection becomes necessary at this stage. When transitions are near, attacks increase, doubts grow louder, and distractions multiply. Archangel Michael's presence at your doorstep is a sign that you are being shielded during a critical shift. Think back to the recent moments when you almost gave up, when exhaustion whispered that it would be easier to settle, to stay quiet, to blend in. Those whispers were not your own. They were attempts to delay what is inevitable. You were never meant to disappear. You were meant to stand. And right now, heaven is reinforcing your spiritual borders. What was once able to drain you will no longer have access. What once confused you will begin to lose its voice. This is not because the world has changed, but because your assignment has matured. Archangel Michael is known as the warrior, but his presence is not loud or dramatic. It is firm, calm, and unmistakable. It feels like a sudden clarity, a strengthening of your spine, a return of courage you forgot you had. If you have felt moments of unexpected boldness recently, moments where fear loosened its grip without explanation, that was not random. That was reinforcement. Heaven does not send warriors to scare you. It sends them to remind you who you are. This message is not meant for everyone, and that is important to understand. Many will hear these words and feel nothing. Others will feel discomfort and click away. But if you feel a quiet resonance, a deep inner knowing rather than excitement, that is discernment responding. Chosen ones are not marked by noise but by recognition. Something in you already knows that this is true, even if your mind is still trying to analyze it. You may be wondering what you did to deserve this attention from heaven. The truth is, you did not earn it through perfection. You were chosen through alignment, through humility, through obedience when no applause followed, through surviving things that were meant to harden you, but instead softened your spirit. Your heart remained open in a world that rewarded closure, and that alone set you apart. Archangel Michael stands where hearts remain surrendered to God's will, even when understanding is incomplete. Right now there is a threshold moment unfolding, a doorway between what was and what is about to be. Doorways are sacred in Scripture because they represent transition, authority, and permission. To stand at a door is to guard what enters and what leaves. Archangel Michael is not forcing entry. He is waiting for recognition. Heaven respects free will, but it also responds when awareness awakens. Simply acknowledging that this moment is real begins to shift things in the unseen. If your life has felt unusually quiet or unusually intense, both are signs of preparation. Silence refines hearing. Intensity strengthens endurance. You were not abandoned in these seasons. You were being positioned. And now, protection has arrived not because danger is near, but because destiny is closer than ever before. The closer you get to alignment, the more precise heaven becomes with its interventions. Do not rush to understand everything yet. This is not the moment for answers, it is the moment for attention, to listen rather than analyze, to feel rather than question. This interruption is holy because it pulls you out of autopilot and into awareness. You were meant to pause here, to recognize that something ancient and powerful is acknowledging your readiness. Archangel Michael stands at your doorstep not to overwhelm you, but to signal that you are not walking into the next phase unguarded. You are seen, you are protected, and this moment marks the beginning of something that will require courage, faith, and obedience in ways you have not yet experienced. What happens next will depend on how you respond to this awareness, but for now, let this truth settle gently into your spirit. This is not random. Heaven has arrived right on time. Archangel Michael does not stand at every door, and this is something your spirit must understand deeply. His presence is not a general invitation or a symbolic idea meant to comfort the masses. It is precise, intentional, and reserved for moments when a soul has reached a certain spiritual maturity. You may have questioned why your path has been heavier than others, why ease never seemed to last long, and why growth often came through pressure rather than pleasure. These were not signs that God withheld favor from you. They were signs that heaven was shaping you differently. From the beginning, your life has carried a certain weight. Even as a child, you may have sensed that you saw the world differently, felt things more deeply, or carried concerns far beyond your years. While others were learning how to fit in, you were learning how to endure. While others were chasing approval, you were being trained in discernment. These patterns did not happen by accident. Archangel Michael is drawn to those who have already survived inner wars, because only those who have faced darkness within can be trusted to stand against it without. There are battles unfolding that your eyes cannot see, but your spirit has felt their impact. Sudden waves of exhaustion, unexplainable emotional heaviness, resistance that seems to appear just as you are about to move forward. These are not random obstacles. They are indicators that something in you threatens the balance of what prefers to remain hidden. Light does not announce itself with noise, but darkness recognizes it instantly. Archangel Michael appears when a life begins to affect realms beyond the physical. You may have noticed that your struggles rarely stay on the surface. They reach into your identity, your faith, your sense of purpose. It was never just about money, relationships, or circumstances. It was about whether you would still trust God when outcomes were uncertain, whether you would still choose righteousness when shortcuts were available, whether you would still stand when isolation became your companion. These were not ordinary tests. They were examinations of authority. Chosen ones are not marked by ease but by endurance. They are not recognized by crowds but by heaven. If your life has felt misunderstood, if your intentions were often questioned, if you were judged more harshly than others for the same mistakes, this was not because you were weak. It was because expectations were higher. When more is placed within a vessel, more is required to refine it. Archangel Michael stands at doors where refinement has already occurred. There is a particular kind of loneliness that follows those who carry spiritual assignments. It is not the absence of people, but the absence of being truly seen. You may have been surrounded by others and still felt alone, because your conversations could not touch the depths you were navigating internally. This loneliness was not punishment, it was protection. Certain revelations cannot survive noise. Certain callings must be developed in silence before they are ever revealed. The unseen battles you have faced were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to teach you how to stand without needing validation. Each time you chose not to retaliate, not to explain yourself, not to abandon your values, something strengthened within you. Authority is not granted through aggression but through restraint. Archangel Michael recognizes this kind of strength. It is the strength that mirrors heaven's order. You may wonder why others seem to move forward effortlessly while you had to fight for every inch of progress. But effortless growth often produces shallow roots. You were given depth because you are meant to hold weight. The delays you resented were actually reinforcements. They ensured that when elevation comes, you will not collapse under its pressure. Archangel Michael stands at doors where collapse is no longer an option. There are signs that mark a chosen life, though they are rarely spoken aloud. A persistent pull toward truth, even when it is uncomfortable, a resistance to superficiality, a longing for meaning beyond success or recognition, a sensitivity to injustice, hypocrisy, and spiritual emptiness. These are not personality traits. They are indicators of alignment. You were wired to detect what others overlook, and that awareness comes with responsibility. The spiritual realm responds to readiness, not desire. Many want purpose, but few are willing to be stripped of illusions to carry it. You have been stripped more than once. Plans fell apart. Relationships ended without closure. Paths you thought were certain suddenly vanished. These moments felt like loss, but they were releases. Heaven was removing what could not go with you. Archangel Michael stands not only to protect what is coming in, but to guard what must stay out. Your endurance has not gone unnoticed. Every time you kept faith while feeling unanswered, every time you chose humility over pride, every time you waited rather than forced a door open, something aligned in your favor. Chosen ones are not those who rush destiny, but those who can wait without losing hope. Waiting is not passive in the spiritual realm. It is active trust. You were never meant to fight these battles alone, even though it often felt that way. The isolation was temporary, the strengthening permanent. Now, assistance has arrived not because you are incapable, but because the next phase requires collaboration with heaven. Archangel Michael's presence signals a shift from preparation to participation. What was once internal is about to become visible. This is why he stands at your door now, not because you are in danger, but because you are stepping into influence. Influence attracts resistance, and resistance requires protection. You have been trained to recognize truth, to stand in integrity, to move without fear even when clarity is incomplete. These qualities are rare, and rarity demands guardianship. If you feel both calm and alert as you hear this, that is confirmation. Chosen ones often recognize truth not through excitement, but through peace. A quiet assurance that settles deep within, beyond emotion. That peace is not complacency, it is readiness, and it is why Archangel Michael stands watch over this moment in your life. Everything you endured was not random. Every delay, every trial, every moment of doubt served a purpose. You were being shaped into someone who could carry responsibility without corruption, authority without ego, and power without losing compassion. Heaven does not entrust such roles lightly. This is why Archangel Michael appears only at certain doors, and this is why he is standing at yours now. There comes a moment in every chosen life when awareness itself becomes a test. Not a loud decision, not a dramatic declaration, but a quiet inner recognition that something is being asked of you. This is that moment. The door before you has not opened yet, because doors in the spiritual realm respond to consent, not force. Archangel Michael stands present, watchful, unmoving, because heaven waits for alignment before it acts. What happens next is not automatic. It depends on whether you acknowledge what your spirit already knows. Ignoring a calling does not make it disappear. It simply delays its expression and increases the weight of unrest within you. Many chosen ones spend years trying to outrun what was placed inside them, mistaking discomfort for dissatisfaction and exhaustion for failure. But the restlessness always returns, stronger each time, because it is not asking to be silenced. It is asking to be answered. You may have tried to fill that inner tension with distractions, relationships, or achievements, yet nothing ever truly settled. That was not ingratitude. That was misalignment. Awareness changes the rules. Before this moment, uncertainty could be blamed on confusion, on circumstance, on timing. After awareness, those excuses lose their power. You begin to notice patterns more clearly. The way certain doors close just as you try to force them. The way peace only appears when you choose truth over comfort. The way your spirit reacts when you compromise. These reactions are not punishment. They are guidance, and guidance demands a response. The door Archangel Michael guards is not external. It is internal. It opens when you decide to stop negotiating with your calling. Chosen ones often delay this decision because they understand, even subconsciously, that answering it changes everything. It changes how you spend your time, what you tolerate, who has access to you, and how you measure success. It removes the option of living unconsciously. That level of responsibility can feel overwhelming, which is why many stand at the threshold longer than necessary. But there is a cost to standing still. Ignoring the call does not bring peace, it brings stagnation. Life begins to feel repetitive, colorless, heavy. Opportunities arrive but feel empty. Progress happens but feels hollow. This is not because you are ungrateful, but because your spirit knows it was designed for something more aligned. Chosen ones do not find fulfillment in surface-level victories. Their fulfillment is tied to obedience. Answering the call does not mean you suddenly understand everything. It means you stop resisting what you already understand. It means you begin to move with intention rather than impulse. The shift is subtle at first. You become more selective, more aware, less reactive. Your priorities quietly rearrange themselves. Certain conversations no longer satisfy you. Certain environments begin to drain you. This is not isolation, it is refinement. When a chosen one becomes aware, the spiritual atmosphere around them responds. What once felt chaotic begins to organize itself, not immediately, and not without resistance, but with purpose. Challenges do not disappear, but they lose their power to intimidate. Fear no longer controls direction. It becomes a signal of growth. This is the protection Archangel Michael offers, not the absence of battle, but the presence of courage. There is also a warning woven into this moment. Awareness without action creates inner conflict. You cannot unsee what has been revealed. You cannot unknow what your spirit recognizes as true. To ignore it now would require constant suppression, and suppression always demands energy. Over time, that energy turns into fatigue, frustration, and self-doubt. Many chosen ones mistake this for burnout, when in reality it is resistance to alignment. Opening the door does not mean stepping into spotlight or recognition. It often means stepping into responsibility, service, and unseen impact. It means trusting God's timing over your own. It means choosing faith when clarity is incomplete. It means allowing yourself to be led rather than insisting on control. This surrender is not weakness. It is agreement. Archangel Michael's presence signals that the next phase of your life will require decisiveness. Half commitment will no longer work. Lukewarm faith will feel unbearable. You will feel an increasing pull toward integrity, toward truth, toward purpose-driven living. This pull will not shout, but it will persist. And each time you respond, even in small ways, something within you strengthens. You may feel a mixture of peace and gravity as you listen. That combination is significant. Peace confirms alignment. Gravity confirms importance. This is not a casual moment. It is a threshold. What you choose from here determines not just what you do, but who you become. Chosen ones are not defined by what happens to them, but by how they respond when awareness arrives. The door does not open with words. It opens with willingness. with a quiet decision to stop postponing obedience, with an inner agreement that says, even without full understanding, you are willing to be led. That agreement does not need to be spoken aloud. Heaven hears it in posture, in intention, in movement. Archangel Michael does not rush this moment because rushed decisions lack roots. He stands patiently, knowing that once the door opens, there is no returning to unconscious living. But there is also no returning to spiritual vulnerability. Protection increases as responsibility increases. Strength follows surrender. This message does not end with instruction because your response cannot be scripted. Reflection is part of the activation. What you do after this moment matters more than what you feel during it. The door remains before you, guarded, waiting. Not demanding, not forcing, simply present. And what happens next will unfold not in noise or spectacle, but in the quiet choices you make when no one else is watching.